shouldn't get around. I don't really want to beat him.
I will be after
You're gonna have to.
I really think that's the way now. I'm going to take 4,000 euros for it, so I'm going to have to go and make it one after you. You have them?
Mate, I don't care where I start, it's where I finish.
If I start from the first one, I will show you will.
Mate, don't worry, mate. By the time we've gone through the first corner, you'll be last.
Hello and welcome to the Twiggy Trophy Nissan Fairlady Cup. This is round 6 at Sakitto GP.
Wow, we can actually hear you.
Yes, this is bad. I'm gonna run into party chat. See you in 3.
Good luck, mate. Yeah. See you in a minute.
Okay, technical issue over. It seems race director has again failed on me. So, I am back into the party chat. Oh, shut the commentary booth door. Right. Without further ado, just so you are aware, there's normally so long qualifying. We've just had to have an extra 5 minutes onto the session, which is mostly over now. We spent doing setup. So there was a 5-minute wet down for the circuit to become equally wet for all the drivers, so that there wasn't an advantage to the people going out earlier in the session than people being out later in the session due to more puddles being on the circuit and such. So yeah, this is round number 6 of the Twiggy Trophy Nissan Fairlady Cup. We're at Sakitto GP. The weather is positively pluvial. I can imagine the tyre temperatures for the cars are absolutely freezing, and this should be absolute carnage or pure magic. I don't know what to expect from this. It's the first wet race I've commentated on. Knock Hill was quite warm, considering it was Scotland, and Nürburgring was again in lovely sunshine, so this should be interesting. And Stewie is about to get quali underway. He's going to set off on his outlap, so that is going to be lovely. I can't wait to get started. It's another Twiggy Trophy race here on the Napalm Rage Gaming YouTube channel with me, your humble commentator. I almost messed that up. Without wanting to bang on about it, I just want to keep it fresh in your minds. There are 2 more rounds after tonight in this current season, I believe. After which I will be racing again in the Twiggy Trophy for the next season. Now that means that instead of my commentary being live, I will be filming the races on the replays to try and get the same action that I will get for you now, with the same coverage, with the angles, the trackside views and such. And whilst I'm rambling about that, the speedometers and such like. So this should be reasonably interesting, and hopefully it's all going to work out fine. So yeah, after that it's going to be a case of clearing out all the replays that are currently in my my saved game, to make way for the replays so that I can save them to get the view of everyone whilst I'm still racing, rather than just looking at my in-car view, because you'll get so bored of that, and you'll get so bored of hearing me swear. Trust me, you just will. You'll find out why my YouTube is called Napalm Rage Gaming. Hence why there was a new series that we started, a series that belongs to a friend of ours, called Belton621. A great channel, check him out. Also, whilst we shout outs, we've got Darkside, who streams it on a regular basis. Saza, who's unfortunately not very well tonight, she often streams. Twig always streams on his channel. Ben always streams on his. And I believe a couple of the others occasionally stream on theirs. So yeah. Also, can we please take a minute and check out Honk Quack Bang, because he is trying to garner some support to get into the Hoonigans. So let's all wish him luck on that, shall we? Now, let's get on to the actual action here. Bacon, I believe, unless that was his outlap, which, yeah, that was his outlap, wasn't it? Because he's going round again, so it must have been an outlap. See, how's he getting on here? Well, he's at a critical point of the circuit through the S's. The car looking positively drifty. It's definitely looking like an Ibizu festival. You can really see the effect of the wet weather. And just look at that puddle beginning to form on that inside curve there. That could catch drivers out in the race. The dynamic conditions, of course, could really affect how this race plays out. Personally speaking, I think that this one could have implications on the title, and you know, the rest of the championship. I think this one could be slightly more important, perhaps, than a lot of the other races have been. But as always, this is a Twiggy trophy. Anything can happen. It usually does. And you've got to stay tuned in to find out. So, Stewie there, just gone through the 130R. Coming through there nicely. Of course, no chicane on this particular layout. And what is he bringing it home in? He brings it home with a 218.9 for Bacon. Sorry, that was Bacon, not Stewie. Stewie, I believe, has done his. He got a 221.2. GT Vass is now on his timed lap. I think Darkside just also completed his outlap. See, the way the data's coming in is quite confusing, because some circuits it times your outlap depending on where you are and where your pit garage is. Just seeing a little notification mark there on Ben. Well, he's coming through that last one. I believe that could be on his outlap though. So we're just going to go back to Vass here. See a lot of spray being kicked up by the cars here. And obviously, as a reference to last week, Vass, obviously, as you know, on the stream looked like he was crashing into walls and had that incident with Saza. Well, Vass actually didn't have an incident with Sasa. Vass just had a little bit of problems with his internet connection, and his lag car took it out. But you can see it's all fixed now, so that's good. And what has Vass brought it home in? 220.1. That's nice. That's a positive time there. Now what is Darkside going to do here? See, what can he bring in? Oh, and Darkside has dive bombed onto the sponsors section there. We almost ended up with a hefty fine for defacing our sponsors boards. Darkside has already done this once in practice, and we had to pay 50,000 to each of our sponsors. Not literally, of course, but just helps with the immersion, really. I've just made the behind the scenes video whilst filming the actual video there, haven't I? Whoops. Oh well. Blooper! Fish there is on his outlap, or it could be his timed lap. Now Darkside is on his timed lap, I know this for a fact. And he brings it home in 2:35.6. Oh, look at that there from Fish. That was an amazing drift, and he's gone in again. Oh, that's nice through the spoon curve there. Exemplary drifting. As he comes along this back straight now. On the run up to 130R, of course. As we know, Sakitto is just... It's a representation of Suzuka. Due to licensing and things. And that's a lovely drift there from Fish. Once again, he's literally flying again though. Fastest fish in all of Germany. What can he do? And Fish, with his normal metronomic regularity, is about 5 seconds in front of everyone else. That's a 2:13.4. Well done, Fish. And Ben, I believe, has just done his timed lap as well. He got a 2:51.1. Looks like he's struggling in the conditions. Todd, I don't think, has been out at all. Honk will be on an outlap. Herb's on an outlap as well. See Honk coming up to the spoon, just coming through the spoon curve now. He's going awfully slowly through there, but as they say, if you look slow, you're probably going fast. It sounds weird, but it makes sense if you drive. Trust me on that one. Now 130R, he's missed his apex slightly, but it's still a relatively quick blast through 130R. And the final corner now for Honk. And we will see whether that's a timed lap or yeah, that was an outlap for Honk of 2:37. Just seems to be acclimatizing to these treacherous pluvial conditions. Did Herbs just finish his outlap? Yeah, he finished his outlap. And Honk just approaching the spoon. Oh, that's not the best line through there, Honk, I'm afraid. It really does seem that these pluvial conditions are starting to take a real hold now. Honk coming through this final corner. What is his lap time going to be? It's a 2:22.1. Now Herb's just coming through this spoon curve. Just gonna go on there to Twiggy, who's just done an outlap there as Twig. We're back to Herbs now as we watch him come down this back straight on the approach to 130R. Looks to be absolutely blasting it at the moment. He's missed his apex, but he's saved that slide very nicely. Perhaps the apexes aren't actually the best lines in this wet condition. Is perhaps what we're seeing from the drivers. An unusual approach, but nice to see. Now what has Herbs got in store here? It's a 2:19.1. Wow, that is very quick in these conditions. Well done, Herbs. Now Twiggy is the only driver left on track, and I believe Todd obviously is not going to get a chance to set a qualifying time. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, but we'll see. Of course, Todd has had issues here with his microphone, so he's got no comms for the race, which is disappointing. As Twiggy now just drifting out of the spoon curve, sliding off the spoon, blasting down this back straight. He's only got 130R, and then the final sweeping right-hander to the line. Comes through 130R, clips that inside apex beautifully, holds the slide. This is exemplary work so far from Twiggy. That's a nice line through there as well on this sweeping right-hander, very smooth. Clips that outside apex, but doesn't run wide either. This could be really good from Twig. And Twiggy goes second with a 2:16.3. That is a simply astonishing time. Really well done there, Twiggy. Wonderful. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was qualifying for round 6 of the Twiggy Trophy Nissan Fairlady Cup here in the pluvial conditions at Sakitto GP. We have 2 minutes and 40 seconds where the drivers are just going to test their equipment, test their wheels, pedals, and obviously their cars, tyres, things and stuff like that. And in the meantime, seems as I don't really have any filler content. This is probably your cue to go and grab a drink, get the popcorn, get a snack, get anything you want, because this race is gonna be good. I can feel it. It's such a good race, I almost wish that I was racing in it. As unofficially, I guess, I actually have made a return to racing. I mentioned earlier about the 621 open wheel series that we are running for Belton, that he's allowed us to run under his, it was his series. He's given it to us to run for the time being, and we are very thankful for it. I raced in a pre-season 2 weeks ago, well, last week, and that's on a Monday night at 9 PM ish. I believe there was a stream from Ben and Twiggy. That I know those two definitely streamed it. I don't know if anyone else streamed it. I personally didn't, but I not only raced in race 1, but I also was back on the wheel following my ankle injury, which is now all healed, knock on wood. And I'm going to be commentating live throughout the rest of this current Twiggy Trophy season, and the next season I'll be doing post commentaries using the replays of the race and doing the commentary the day after the race, so you'll see some of the drivers' streams before mine, which, yes, that is going to be slightly annoying, but at the same time, stay here to be sure to tune in, as there's always a lot of great content, and I really appreciate all the stuff, all the views and things. All the support for this series is really, really appreciated, not just by me, not just by the organisers Twiggy and Sazza, but everyone behind the scenes who's helped us, Belton, who's helped us with the website in the past and also recently, which website, of course, go over to www.simracingmanager.com/Twiggy Trophy. You should find all the standings there, should you want them, and they are awaiting an update of last week. We've just got a little bit of a backlog to deal with. Quali is now complete, which is nice, but I'll just finish up what I'm saying here. And yeah, just it's a great support to everyone, not just myself, but the drivers, the rest of the drivers, and everybody. It's amazing. Thank you. We appreciate it. And it's possibly led me to do potential projects in the future for you guys, if you want that. If you want to see anything else on my channel, just comment it, and also hit like and subscribe. And now, with that sort of commercial break over with, we are now awaiting the lights to go out so we can start round 6 of the Twiggy Trophy Nissan Fairlady Cup here in the Pluvial conditions at Sakitto GP. It's going to be carnage, or it's going to be magic, possibly both. Anything can happen in this league, and it so often always does. I am so pumped for this. I hope you guys are too. We should be in store for possibly race of the season, with Fish in starting on pole, Twiggy second, Bacon third, Herbs in fourth, Vass in fifth, Stewie sixth, Honk 7th, Darkside 8th, Ben in 9th, and Todd in 10th. Good points on offer for everybody today. And as the lights go out here, we are racing. It's race time. Let's go, guys. Once we on board with Fish here. Oh, someone's made contact there with the brake markers. Fish elegantly drifting through that. But let's just have a little look as Fish begins to pull out a small lead over Herbs. And it's real close between Twiggy and Vass here. And Stewie following in behind there with Honk. Just settling in behind Darkside. And then Todd. Todd's off! And Todd's gone off. And Ben has spun out in front of him. Ben's hit the wall. And I believe Todd was struggling for traction. He's just having to let Herbs go through here. I don't know what's quite happened, but Ben's having a real tough time getting this car back on track. It's really not looking good for him here. So early on in the race, it would be such a shame if he has to pull out now. It's not looking good. He's stopped the car in the gravel. Could this be a retirement? And it is. Ben has retired on lap 1. He's not even made it past 3 corners. That's a real big shame for him, because he's been in a real good position to make an impact on this championship. Now, how is Todd doing on his recovery? He seems to have recovered well. He's got his car settled. He's chasing down Herbs. He's just over a second behind. Bacon now pulling out a nice big gap over Herbs. And Honk is now in a 3-car train with Darkside and Stewie, who are all in a little bit of a 3-way fight here for 4th place. Bacon is catching them though, so they will have to be careful there as they slide side by side through there. And Honk is on the inside and Darkside on the outside. Honk there just filtering into the slipstream of Darkside, looking to possibly slingshot up the inside. But in these pluvial conditions he bets against it. Darkside runs a little bit wide. Honk moves to the inside. Can't quite make it through as Darkside and Honk both have to slow as Stewie rejoins. And Honk there made a little bit of contact with Darkside, but nothing major for Darkside. But Honk, unfortunately, the traction just seemed to evade him there for a second, and that's a big puddle forming on the inside there. And I think Honk's car just aquaplaned, and that's put him in a bad position there, with Bacon actually going through. And now Bacon is applying the pressure to Darkside. He's all over him right now. And I'm just going to go a little bit further forward to Twiggy, with Vass looking a little bit sketchy on that exit, and Fish running away with a 6.5 second gap and counting. Hello Ben. And we've just seen there that Darkside has spun, which is interesting, as Honk now moves up into 5th. Hello Ben.
Got a 1 on the dashboard saying engine was going to overheat. I had to pull over to retire.
You had an engine issue, is that Ben?
Yep, I lost the gas and the S's, and I hit the wall twice. And engine damage was up to 20, and then it went up to 100%.
Wow. Well, it's such a shame really to see you retire at such an early stage of the race. How do you feel this is going to impact your championship hopes?
I'm not really bothered at the minute with being wet and everything, but I'll have to come back next week and show Darkside who's the real master in the bloody car.
Okay, so you're saying that this week was a little bit of a throwaway? Were you perhaps feeling premonitions that something like this would happen?
I had a feeling this was going to happen, because I didn't feel good in practice through the week, so I knew this race was written off before I even started getting into the race, so I knew it was right off anyway. So I didn't crash it, I just tried to keep it, and then I missed the car who spun out, and then it just went wrong from there.
Yes, I saw most of the incident have to say I was a little surprised, but
I was drifting it through the S's when
yeah,
I was able to get the car.
it's a little bit of a shame to see you out at this early stage, and it feels like I've said this all too often so far, but
it's not nothing to do with you. It's something to do with the truck in the car. The car doesn't have the grip. It doesn't have the downforce that I want from the car.
oh no,
If you know what I mean.
I wasn't meaning like that. I was referring to the incident you had at Knock Hill in the last round, and also I don't think the Nürburgring went too well for you, did it?
Actually, I did very well to keep dark side of mistakes, but this race was just a big write-off. So.
Well, thank you for joining us. I believe we've had another retirement, and I believe it's Herb's. There as Darkside is getting awfully sketchy. Todd looks nice and settled, but too far behind.
I will see you, hopefully not next week. I won't retire next week. I will be in this race, and I will beat that man in P6.
Yeah, so I'll expect you'll be challenging for driver of the day next race then.
Yeah, and I'll be driving like a god.
Okie dokie, Ben. Thank you for coming into the post-race interview.
No bother.
Well, ladies and gents, that was the post-race interview there with Ben, and as you heard, an engine issue was the reason for the early retirement on lap 1. Herbs has retired as well. I'm not yet sure of the reason for that retirement, or whether he's actually going to come and do a post-race interview. We shall see. As we're currently on board with Darkside, is looking just that little bit unsettled, really. He's still in 6th though. Todd is about 9 seconds behind. A little bit too far away to do anything at this stage, but he's got his car nice and planted. Honk quite some way up the road now, of course in 5th. He's got it looking nice and settled, with Bacon another 4 or 5 seconds up the road from him. And the gap is closing now between Honk and Bacon, which that could be an interesting development later on in this race, with Twiggy now only 3 seconds behind Vass and closing that gap very quickly. This should be an interesting battle. Of course, Vass and Twiggy have had some quite incredible battles so far this season, and Fish really is just running away with this. This is very much like the race at the Nürburgring. He seems to be the wet weather master. Well, clues in the name really. The fastest fish, or the flying fish, the fastest fish in all of Germany, and as it turns out today, Japan. But there's a long way to go in this race. Only lap 5 of 28, and so much has happened already. Now let's just go back to this battle for second place. Vass does seem to have opened up the gap a little, but that's partly due to where they are on track. Of course, Vass is hitting the straights before Twiggy is, so the gap will open and close based on their relative track and cornering speeds. And I do apologise for any background noise coming from the commentary booth. It's we have got the studio in a slightly different place here. Of course, for Sakitto, we couldn't rent the Premier crane to lift us up, as that is too dangerous at this circuit. So we've had to take the studio that's right next to the pit boxes. So any noise that you can hear overhanging is probably from the pit crews. Or even the safety car crew, who are currently huddled up in their garage for warmth. And by the looks of this, Twiggy is starting to fall behind. That's definitely opening this gap up now. He's got about another 2.5 seconds over Twiggy compared to when this battle started, which is quite a bit. Bacon's still hanging on in there, keeping the gap relatively the same, both in front and behind. And Honk is in there still quite a way behind. Looks to be struggling in these slippery conditions. I don't think there's a lot more he can do at this stage in a race, but if he keeps it on track, he'll possibly be able to capitalise on anything. Ooh, a little slide there. That's potentially dangerous, but well held. Now, where is Darkside on this? He is going through the first turn, and he seems to be getting the hang of this line now. He was, last time we were looking at Darkside, he was definitely getting slippery through there, but seems to be getting the hang of the apexes. And Todd just went off circuit there at 130R, which is not the best place for going off circuit really. That runoff area can be slippery, especially with this kind of weather. And I believe that Todd at the moment is just trying to nurse the car around, because obviously if he stays on track, he's still going to get decent points for 7th position. But he might feel at this point like there's no major rush, which he's right, because there's 28 laps in this race. We're on lap 6, 22 still to go. Well, it's lap 7 for Fish, so that's 21 still to go. We're just going to stay on board with Fish here, just for a little while. And you can see that that puddle there on that inside curb, just before the bridge, is looking ominous. It's really not looking like it's going to be helpful. It's growing, it's expanding over the circuit, and that's definitely going to affect the race at some point here, as Fish goes through the spoon curve sideways with his customary swagger and elegance behind the wheel. And over 30 seconds ahead at this point, so he can definitely unleash the exuberance at a time like this. That's also just coming through this spoon curve, some way behind. Twiggy just approaching the spoon curve, so he's certainly not catching Vass at this current juncture in the race. I have to say, after so much action in those first 2 or 3 laps, it's really starting to fizzle out a little bit. Rather like the last race at Knockhill. And it looks like Honk is potentially catching Bacon, which could make for an interesting battle, with Honk obviously on the warpath to redeem himself from that spin out that he had. Of course, he is in front of Darkside at the moment, but I'm sure that'll be of no consolation to him. And Todd nursing the car around still. Fish still miles ahead. And Vass still looking very, very comfortable. Look at the size of that puddle now though. That really is expanding. That is going to be detrimental. There's a few rather large puddles beginning to form in various other crucial points of the circuit. So watch out guys, because this could get dicey. And Twiggy in third, I believe, is just coming up to lap Todd. I believe this is. Yeah, it's Todd, who is about to be lapped by Twiggy. And Todd, perfect racing etiquette there, moves over, allows Twiggy to come through. No time lost for either of them. Bacon's still got the gap around the same, but Honk is definitely closing up. He's definitely closing that gap up at the moment. But Darkside is some way behind. In fact, I believe that Darkside has just been lapped by Fish. Yeah, he's just been lapped by Fish. Who of course is our current race leader. And there's not too much happening in the race at the moment, as we're waiting to get to around halfway, I would say, before something big happens. Mind you, having said that, Bacon is beginning to catch Twiggy, and Darkside has just reported into the pits. So is this going to be a pit stop there for Darkside, or is this going to be a retirement? Nope, it's definitely a pit stop. A legitimate pit stop. Well, Honk is closing up to Bacon, and Bacon is closing up to Twiggy, and all of a sudden the battle for third place could be on again. I do apologise if the stream is a little bit dead, but there's a little bit of a procession happening here, and also we've had some technical issues in the commentary booth. That puddle on the inside of that corner really began to form, and also there's a puddle just on the exit underneath that bridge, which is all the way across the circuit now, which is surely gonna throw a few curveballs in. As Twiggy there just went offline to avoid that puddle. Fast there has gone off track, which is a little bit surprising, but recovered well, no real time lost. Twiggy still fending off Bacon and Honk. The gap's all about the same still. Todd is in 6th after Darkside went into the pits, which means that Darkside is now going to be chasing Todd. As we are on lap 11 of this race. I have to say, Darkside's car is definitely more settled after that pit stop. I don't know what he's done, but it definitely seems to be working. The only thing he needs to do now is increase his gap. Or, sorry, decrease the gap to Todd. Going forwards, Honk is still closing up within that 5-second gap to Bacon, and Bacon is still within about 4 to 5 seconds of Twiggy in that 10-second battle for 3rd place. And as of this moment, they are all, of course, closest to each other on track, so we might just stay here on board with Twiggy for a few laps, just to keep up to date with everything that's going on in this mid-pack battle. In Twiggy there, you saw, I think they go wide to avoid that puddle. And Fish is on lap 13. He's almost halfway in this race. And that gap between Twiggy and Bacon really looks to have come down visually. Of course, time-wise, it's not actually come down an awful lot. Only a couple of tenths. But in racing, a couple of tenths can be make or break distance. And you can certainly see visually that he is closer. And it looks like the battle between Todd and Darkside is beginning to hot up, as Todd has just skidded out wide there. Darkside follows him as well, but Darkside keeps it clean and on the track, and unfortunately Todd has surrendered that position, and Todd's now spun out and he's hit the wall. He doesn't look to be in a good position there to be spun out either. And Vass almost spinning there at the spoon curve on the outside. Todd actually has now got it back going again, but he looks to have suffered some bad suspension damage from that. And his car is sounding rather unhealthy, rather like a bag of spanners. And I believe Todd is about to be lapped here, as Fish is on lap 14. He is over halfway into this race now. With Vass just about to enter the 14th lap. With Bacon now having just overtaken Twiggy. I didn't quite catch the move, but I suspect that it could be related to where the incident was, and also because of that puddle on the inside there. But Bacon now and Twiggy coming through the spoon curve together. And Bacon is now starting to pull away a little bit down the straight. Now, up to 130R, will this make a big difference? Both seem to take a relatively good line through there. And Todd is in the pits, and I don't know whether that is to fix the damage or whether he's going to retire the car. I believe he's going to carry on and just fix that damage. But we will keep you posted. Darkseid a long way behind everyone else, a long way ahead of Todd. I think 6th place is his for the taking now. Oh, just got a little bit sketchy on that puddle. He's starting to get real big. Darkseid there just struggling across the next puddle under the bridge as well. As we go forward to Honk. Honk closing on Twiggy. Twiggy is beginning to fall backwards from Bacon, but he is still close enough to potentially launch a challenge within this next 2 to 3 laps. Vass still in 2nd, and Fish still way out with a consummate, unassailable lead at this point into the second half of the race, lap 15. And what's this? Vass has entered the pit lane as Bacon and Twiggy. Oh, Twiggy's got that wrong. He's just about kept it out of the wall, but in his lost time there, losing time hand over fist, he just got it a little bit wobbly on the exit of the spoon curve, and it all kind of went wrong. He obviously saw the gap, got excited, a little bit too much power in the wet. With Vass still in the pits, this really has closed down this battle and opened up the race a little, because now Bacon and Twiggy are only a few seconds behind, and Bacon must have spun off or something, because, well, I didn't quite see it, but something must have happened, because Twiggy ended up back in front of him. And what's happened with Honk? Honk has overtaken Bacon, who's lost 2 places in the last 2 corners. He was looking comfortably ahead of Twiggy, coming through 130R, and then all of a sudden it's gone wrong for him as he enters the first few corners. Only 12 laps to go here. Twiggy and Bacon real close. This battle for 3rd place is really heating up, with them all within about a second of each other. Oh, and Twiggy obviously couldn't hold it, because yeah, he's coming out of that corner slowly. Bacon there took a little bit of a shortcut, but he obviously made the move beforehand. And Honk is now skidding away from those two a little bit, with Twiggy applying some pressure. Him and Bacon have been real close for a number of laps now. Bacon's gone wide. Twiggy keeps it on the circuit, gets a better run through. Twiggy is through, he's back in 4th. But Bacon now a good run out of the spoon curve. Gosh, look at all that spray now being kicked up. The amount of spray that's being kicked up is definitely higher than the cars now. Visibility must be so poor for those following other cars. Ergo Bacon here looking potentially to make a move through there, but didn't quite have the legs. Of course, Fish now on lap 17 of 28, just the 11 laps left. Beginning to enter the final few stages of the race. And I believe that was Twiggy who got a little bit sideways through there. That puddle definitely expanding. Bacon possibly lost a little bit of time as well. On a spoon curve. And Twiggy's lost it. He's kept it out of the wall, but he lost it there through the spoon curve, and they'll have to surrender that position shortly, yeah. And he allows Bacon to go by, but doesn't compromise too much. Obviously Bacon was forced by the race director, race control, not race director, sorry, to give Twiggy the position back. Twiggy now, and he has given the position back, and I believe the confusion was because Fish has just lapped those two, that's why. And Fish has a very similar car to Bacon. Darkside is in the pits yet again. I don't know whether this will see him retire the car or whether he'll march on for another 10 laps. I do apologise, of course, for the lack of comments being made here, but there's not too much happening here. Darkside off the track. He's struggling in these wet conditions. He's been in the pits a number of times. But Twiggy's still in 5th. Bacon's still in 4th. Honk still holding on miraculously to 3rd place. An epic drive from him. Vass in 2nd by some gap. And then Fish ahead by over a full minute. And then Todd bringing up the rear. There's Fish here. End of lap 19, beginning lap 20. Nope, beginning of lap 19, sorry. So 9 laps left. Of this somewhat interesting race in the pluvial conditions here at Sakitto. Honk coming through this final corner here. And hello viewer. You join us at round 6 of the Twiggy Trophy Nissan Fairlady Cup in these pluvial conditions here at Sakitto. It's been a little bit of a chaotic race. Ben was out after the first lap with engine failure / engine problems. Herb's retired due to unknown circumstances as of yet. Still waiting to hear the official statement. And Todd is in 7th. In fact, he's literally just retired his car. I can only guess damage curtailed his race too far, and it was irreparable from there. Darkside is some way behind. Twiggy is in 5th, just 2 seconds away from Bacon, who is about 20 seconds behind Honk, who is now starting to form a decent gap ahead of Bacon and Twiggy, but is still roughly the same difference as he is ahead of the chasing cars that he is behind Vass, who is well over a minute, almost a minute and a half behind Fish as we enter lap 20 of 28. And that is a big sideways entry there from Fish. And there's a lovely little exclamation mark coming up next to Twiggy. This can only mean something interesting is ensuing here. And he's starting to close that gap to Bacon. This could lead to some good pressure and a good battle in these very, very, very final stages of the race. And you can actually hear the wind and the rain coming down at this circuit. That's just how bad these conditions are today. It's absolutely pluvial. The track is slippery, lots of puddles of course, lots of accidents so far. As you saw Twiggy there getting sideways. Which unfortunately has lost him a little bit of ground, but not much. And Twiggy has lost it there. He's lost it. He's in the gravel. I just turned away for a second there to grab my drink, and saw he'd spun out. That's unfortunate now, and he's got a lot of ground to make up. That could have just blown his chance of catching and overtaking Bacon with only a few laps left. And Fish comes through 130R, the race leader, coming up to lap Honk, I believe that is, who is in 3rd. Yeah, that's right, Honk is on the podium and he is being lapped by the race leader. That is just a testament to the customary amazing driving from Fish, who I believe has just binned it. Whilst we've been praising him up, he has literally just binned it at turn 1. Oh dear. Honk didn't get the best line through there either. Bacon coming through the final corner. Twiggy coming through 130R. Darkside, of course, was the other car in that shot with Fish just behind him. Of course, Darkside in 6th place at the moment. And Fish is now really starting to struggle with the conditions. He's lost around 30 seconds to Vast now, which is quite strange because for the first 22 laps he was absolutely metronomic. A metronomic regularity of amazing laps being put together by him. And then it's all seemed to, the wheels have come off the train a little bit. Which, this could be interesting. And just look how that puddle has expanded over the whole, the time of this race. It's really dangerous. It's causing so many problems for the drivers out there now. And that's why you're not seeing a lot of the hard, aggressive racing so much now, because simply put, drivers have to get their cars home. You know, they need to finish, because to finish first, you must first finish. And Fish there had another little off. I'm not entirely sure what's gone wrong with his car. And Fish, of course, the race leader, is going to pit. He has got about a minute to allow his pit crew to figure out what is the problem with his car. It's not sounding particularly healthy though. I'm sure Fish is starting to become a little bit salty behind the wheel, probably starting to wonder why it's all of a sudden starting to implode from underneath him. 22 laps out of 28, led the race the entire way, started on pole, initially 5 seconds ahead of everyone. Twiggy was the only one to get close in qualifying, and he's led the race from start to finish with a gap of well over a minute. And now it's all starting to close up as Vass is actually just about to overtake and take the race lead from Fish. This is going to be so close. Vass takes the lead. Fish was in the pits for around 52 seconds, and that has now led to him losing the lead to GT Vass. Well, we never saw that coming. 22 laps that Fish led, and now all of a sudden it's imploded. But a stunning drive from Vass to keep it so consistent that he's found all of that time. Vass there spins off, Fish goes through on the inside, but not without a little spin of his own. And Fish now back in the race lead and back to the normal job now of creating a big enough gap. Vast taking out the braking board. Fister having to avoid that puddle. Vast decides to go through it. Now Honk doesn't look to be in any danger to Bacon at the moment. And Bacon far enough away from Twiggy. Twiggy there struggling, having to take a little bit of an escape route. And Darkside still miles behind, but still plodding along. And that is excellent to see. As we go back onto Fish, our race leader, but we're just going to quickly jump to Twiggy, who's in the pits. May have picked up some damage from those curbs, of course. Wow, the race really picking up in these latter stages. And Twiggy has been in the pits for an awfully long time now. And Fish starting lap 24, he's back to drifting around the circuit. Twiggy still not out of his pits. This is a very long stop for Twiggy. Oh, and Twiggy has actually spun there and hit the garage. That's not brilliant. It doesn't happen all that often. These pluvial conditions definitely taking their toll on the race. I told you that they would. At a point when we didn't expect it, and below and behold, it did. And I've got to say, Fish has done awfully well within 3 laps to build up such a big gap to Vass. And now only 3 laps to go in this race. It's kind of died down a little bit from that late flurry of excitement. The middle of the race was very much a battle of attrition for the drivers, so not too much happened. And the start was highly dramatic. As Fish here comes through 130R, lapping, I believe that was Bacon, yes it was, to come on to lap 26. 2 laps left now. This has been round 6 in the Twiggy Trophy Nissan Fairlady Cup here at Pluvial conditions in the at the Sakitto Grand Prix circuit. It's been a very strange race. Pockets of magic in an otherwise chaotic race. And I believe that the running order, that if it stays as it is, barring any major cock-ups from anybody, that this could be the finishing order. But a lap and a half still to go. Although Fish does look to have this in the bag. The dark side there has spun out, and that's lucky that he didn't take collateral there with him in the form of Fish, but unfortunate for him. Fish brings it round to lap 27. Only one more lap. And Fish has hit the wall there, and that could be a potential opportunity for Vass to gain some well needed time with only a lap to go. Well, a lap and a half. Fish sideways on the exit there. Let's have a little check on everybody before Fish takes us on to the final lap. Vass still in second place, too far away from Honk for Honk to challenge. He's gone off, but doesn't look to have lost too much time. Let's see, how is Honk getting on? Actually potentially closing that gap up a little bit, looking nice and solid so far. Bacon is currently off circuit, now on circuit. He's struggling to handle the car with the tyres. And Lovren, just stay back. And now we get underway on our final lap here, and we are going to stick on board now with Fish for this final lap of round 6 in the Twiggy Trophy Nissan Fairlady Cup from the pluvial conditions of Sakitto GP. He almost blew it when he come out of that pit stop behind and Fish coming up towards that double right-hander. There's a couple of really interesting curveball curbs coming up, namely this one. And there we go. Fish has won the race. Sorry I was a little bit late to react, a little bit of a technical issue there. He's won the race, round 6 of the Twiggy Trophy Nissan Fairlady Cup. Pluvial conditions here at the Sakitto GP circuit. Vass brings it home in 2nd place. Oh, and he's lost it. He's crossed the line in style, that is for sure. Now Honk looking to potentially lap. I believe that's dark side. Yep, it is. And Honk bringing it across the line in 3rd place. A well fought podium. Could have gone to anybody between him, Bacon or Twiggy. It really was tough. And only a few more seconds left. That is it, guys. That's the end of the race. This has been round 6 of the Twiggy Trophy Nissan Fairlady Cup. Pluvial conditions there at the Sakitto GP made it tough for all the drivers. This has been me, Napalm Rage Gaming. Peace out and see you next week for the next race. Goodbye, like, subscribe and peace.